Welcome to Book by Source. I am your speaker, Charlie, and today we are talking about the in between. There is a season in our lives where things may feel overwhelmed, a bit chaotic, like anything that could go wrong does go wrong. It can be a season that sometimes look like relationships are breaking down. Jobs no longer feel fulfilling. Things that you were once interested in, you're no longer interested in. You're ready to throw in the towel. You may feel overwhelmed. You may feel exhausted. You may feel like you're at your wits' end. Or it may look like you're just not interested in anything. This can also look at like depressive like symptoms. This season is what I call the in between. It is in between where and who you are and where and who you're becoming. It's that middle area. Let's dive in. A couple of months ago, I published a guidebook called The Creator's Path, Returning to the Void. And this guidebook was inspired from a visual I saw in my mind's eye about manifesting. It was inspired by a book I had been reading at the time that I feel like connected the dots of what I've always known. And so I have this belief that we all exist within the void. Now, this void has both the manifested and unmanifested. Everything exists here. And what ends up happening when we talk about our manifestations, right? A lot of times you may hear, if you're listening to a lot of things that speak to similarly what I'm talking about, you may hear this idea of my bad, my thoughts, my mind kind of just stopped. But you may hear this idea of manifesting, right? And how we manifest and what it looks like to manifest. And some people may say that, every reality already exists. That's what I was looking for. Every reality already exists, right? Every version of you that you can imagine already exists. The moment you see an image in your mind, it exists. And so it's really a matter of you tuning into and embodying the frequency of that version of you that has that experience. So when we think about that, right, the version of you that has that experience, right, frequency, this idea that you embody the frequency of that version of you. So when I talk about the in between, you are where you are, right? So where you are now and that version of you that has that thing, right? Then there's this in between. And that in between is the recalibration, the resetting, the cleansing, the clearing that takes place for you to vibrate at that frequency of that version of you that has that thing. So we all have a frequency, right? And we are carrying all these different memories with us, beliefs with us, ideas with us, um, emotions, right? Whatever it is. And it's all impacting what our frequency is. And so since it's impacting our frequency, in order to get to that version of us, right? Maybe that version of us is carefree. Maybe that version of us has so much confidence in themselves, right? Now, what is in between this version of you you are now and that version of you you want to become, right? Or that version of you you want to embody, right? This is a very confident person. This is someone who don't care about what the rules say. They live in their free. They live in their truth. They have so much faith. So what is stopping you from having that faith? What is stopping you from being so carefree? What is stopping you from being confident? Is likely beliefs, ideas, certain relationships that you're carrying. And so in this in between, that's where that clearing happened. The clearing of the relationships that are keeping you at the frequency over here. The clearing of the beliefs that are keeping you at that frequency over here. Right? In this in between, you are letting go. You are calibrating to this version of you, this confident, faith-filled, abundant, right? A version of you that knows that all is well, a version of you that knows, like, I got this, source is going to make a way for me. Everything I want, everything I desire comes to me with ease, right? So in order to be this version that has that thing that you desire, that has that experience that you desire, you have to let go of everything holding you back from that, everything that's keeping you over here in this frequency. And so that's what the in between is. That's what the in between is doing. The in between is clearing out whatever is in the way, whatever is holding you at this frequency. It's helping you surrender and let go and lighten your load so that you can be vibrating at this frequency of the version of you that has that experience, that has that thing, that is that confident being. And so this in between is just helping you and preparing you and attuning you to this version of you. And so a lot of times what ends up happening is that we think that because things look horrible, because we're feeling depressed, because this, because that something in and of itself is wrong. Something in and of itself is bad. And the reality is, it's just clearing the way. I am someone who have experienced depression, and I have been diagnosed with chronic depression, right? And what I started to realize after every season or every experience with depressive like symptoms is that I was never who I started off as. Who I was when the symptoms started and who I was when those symptoms had alleviated was two different versions of me. Now, whether I became aware of the ways in which I was feeding into the symptoms, or maybe I became aware that the stories I was telling myself wasn't truth. Regardless of what I gathered in that season from that in between, it helped me to see the world differently. It helped me to experience the world differently. It helped me to show up differently. And so this in between is very, very significant and very important, and is part of the manifesting process. Because in order to become the version of you that has that thing, in order to be at the frequency of the version of you that has that thing, there is something within you that needs to either be released and renewed, remembered, whatever it is. And so there's a reason why you're having that in between season. There's a reason why you're going through that recalibration. There's a reason why you're having this clearing, because it needs to happen in order for you to embody whatever version of you is being called in, is being attracted for your next phase of life. A lot of times we may look at certain things and think like, this shouldn't be happening, that shouldn't be happening. But if you really stop and slow down, you will notice that every season of your life had purpose. You are only who you are because of what you've experienced and whatever else adds to that. But your lived experiences play a big part in how you are experiencing life today, and who you are today, and why you believe what you believe. It's all part of a bigger picture. And even those who aren't aware of this process of awakening, who aren't aware of the remembrance journey, they're still on an awakening journey, whether they are aware of it or not. And those seasons of the in-between is still happening for them. They're still going through things. They're still experiencing the clearing. Now, whether or not they learn or remember whatever it is that season is there to reveal to them is a whole other story. We say that if you don't learn the lesson, you'll have the lesson again. And in that sense, yeah. Because that is the part of the journey of clearing, of recalibrating you, of bringing you into a frequency that you're being called to. You know, you say you want a certain life, you say you want certain things. Well, the only reason why you don't have that is for some reason. There's a reason why you don't have what you say you want. And so, in order to get it, it requires a different version of you. It requires a different belief in you, right? It requires a different knowing within you, whatever it is. And so, in order for you to have that thing, in order for you to have that experience, life prepares you. Life provides for you in a way by showing you, mirroring for you something so that you can let go in order to move into whatever energy, frequency, and beliefs that version of you carry. And so the in between is a very significant part of the journey, and is definitely a part of manifesting, because there is a reason why you don't have what you desire already. There's a reason why you're not experiencing what you don't desire. And it's not a part, I'm not saying it's a punishment, because it's not that. This is all a frequency thing, right? It's not about getting a thing. It's not about acquiring a thing. It's about being a match for the frequency of that thing. And so this life journey is full of those moments where we are being asked to clear things, to let go. You know, in order for you to have a certain caliber of friendships, right? Relationships, people around you, the kind of quality relationships around you, you know, it requires a different version of you, right? You can't expect to be around people who are super positive, super ambitious, super motivated, while you're just somebody that's like, that puts no effort into life. It's just not going to work. Eventually, they're either going to move on without you, or you're going to move towards them. Either your frequency will move towards them, or they're going to move on without you. But you got to be able to hold the frequency in order to keep them within your awareness. Sometimes people only come into your life to be a mirror for you. And they likely show you a potential. They show you what else is possible. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you desire that thing, whether or not you're willing to go towards it. You don't have to. That's what your free will is about. And so I wanted to come here and share with you all about that in between, because I shared a little bit on TikTok and people were very interested in it and saying, like, I'm in the in between. And I want to encourage you that the in between is significant. I know it may feel overwhelming sometimes, it may be very uncomfortable. Some people have called it insufferable. But it's likely insufferable because you're fighting it. Is likely insufferable because you're believing that it shouldn't be happening. You're resisting what is. And when we resist what is, we just keep it there even longer, and we fight against it. And we try to say, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. And we just exhaust ourselves even more. So I want to encourage you, when you find yourself in these seasons of overwhelm, of stress, of maybe there are thoughts going in your head and they're just cycling. Slow down. Take a breather. Give yourself a moment to process what is happening. Don't judge the circumstance. Don't say this is good, this is bad, this shouldn't be happening, this should be happening. It's happening. It is what it is. You can't change it. But you also don't have to. You can change it by letting it go. But you don't have to fight it, is what I'm getting at. You don't have to try to force it away. It's going to pass regardless. It's going to pass. The only reason why it's staying around is because you're feeding it. Stop feeding it. It's okay to acknowledge that this is shit. This does not feel good. And still let it be what it is. I don't enjoy this experience. To acknowledge that. And you will notice how quick it shifts when you don't fight against it. When you don't say, keep looking at it and saying, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. Well, babe, it's happening. There's a reason why it's happening. Let it do what it's going to do. It's happening for your good. What is it there to show you? What is the message behind it? Everything that happens, every experience you have has a purpose. Nothing is just happening just because. You may not always know in the moment exactly why it's happening. And that's why you just got to be at peace with, you know what? I acknowledge that I don't like the way this feels. I'm not enjoying this experience. And to just sit with it. Let it pass through. Let it move on. And you will notice that it just moves on. It doesn't stay forever. It is just a moment in a bigger picture of things. And so we are here in this moment. And I just want to remind you that, like, everything is exactly how it's meant to be. Even if you don't understand it, even if it does not make sense to you. The in between is a very significant place to be because it is shifting things, it is changing things, it is tuning things, and it's getting you closer to that which you desire. Now, you may think, oh, well, it's still not exactly what I want. Sometimes you have to go in baby steps because can your nervous system actually handle everything that you're asking for? The life you say you desire, the relationship you say you desire, the work environment you say you desire, can your nervous system actually manage it? Can it hold it? Can it tolerate it? Because you may be asking for something that your nervous system can't even deal with. And so part of these in-betweens is going to be tuning your nervous system. Okay, more and more and more. Something I often say is I reset my nervous system. But it took time. It wasn't something that just happened in one experience. Over time, I was able to reset my nervous system by allowing things to be what they are, by not being afraid, by feeling the fear and still going forward, by basically what I call, and it is a thing, but I call it this exposure therapy, where anytime I was afraid of something, I moved towards it, not away from it. And I taught my body and my nervous system that we're safe. That even if something is new, it's okay. We don't need to be afraid of it, that we're going to be okay, that we can handle it. And that helped reset my nervous system. So now it's not on overdrive, that every time something new happens, it's activated. No. But so many of us are actually walking around with an overactive nervous system. We say we want things, but we don't have the capacity to hold newness. We don't have the capacity to deal with new beginnings. And so sometimes that in between is preparing you by tuning that nervous system, by working towards resetting your nervous system so that your nervous system can handle the unknown. Your nervous system can handle when things don't go how you expect it to go. Because just because things don't turn out the way you expected doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean it's not working. Doesn't mean that you're not moving towards your desire. And so a lot of things are happening in the background that we may not know or understand yet. That we may later get language for and understanding for. And so that in between can be preparing so many things for you, whether it's tuning you up to have more confidence, to grow in faith, to grow in understanding, to remember your own truth, to reset your nervous system, to expand your container. And container goes back to the nervous system. And so there's things to be done. There's work to be done. And as much as we want to say we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that, can you actually handle it when it comes? Can your nervous system handle it when it comes? And so life prepares you. Life helps to support you in creating the capacity and the space to hold the frequency for that which you desire. So, with that being said, I want to remind you that the in-between is a significant part, and it does not mean that anything is wrong. I'm a firm believer, especially when energy is activated within you, that is energy in motion. That means that something is shifting, something is shaking, something is being moved, things are being recalibrated, things are being reset, things are being cleansed, whatever it is. But that means that something is happening. You are moving towards something, moving away from something. Whatever that something is, I pray that you trust is always for your highest good. Life is happening for you, not to you. And despite what this world tells us about how things should be this or that, something not feeling good does not mean it's necessarily wrong. Sometimes we are carrying things that aren't ours to carry. And part of that pruning stage, part of the clearing stage is letting that go. There's so many things I believe that how life had to be. This idea of security, this idea of what it means to live as opposed to just being survival mode. There was a lot of things that did not feel good, but it's not that they were wrong or that I was moving in the wrong direction. It didn't feel good because it was new. It was different. I was afraid of how I would be acknowledged by others. I was afraid of how others would see me. I was afraid of rejection. So sometimes it's a lot deeper than what meets the eye. You may think like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. This is because who else gets to do this? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who else gets to do this. You can be the first. Okay. You can be the example. Okay. And so that in between stage of your life is very significant. Don't automatically throw it away and don't automatically think that it's wrong. It's new. It's different. You haven't been here before. This version of you have not experienced this before. You've never started where you were before. This is always a new beginning. This is a new version of you. Something I say every day is that I'm never who I was yesterday. I've even had a shift in my mindset, a shift in my belief, an awakening of some sort. We're constantly shifting frequencies if we allow it and acknowledge it. You just got to remember, you are on a journey. It doesn't have to look a specific way. And if you allow life to show you, to light the way for you, you will realize that all is well. No matter what is happening, it is happening for your good. You can trust it. So, with that being said, I will speak to you all soon. Feel free to leave any comments below if you want me to elaborate on anything else, any feedback and any thoughts you have. Feel free to share them. This is a book by Source, and I am your speaker, Charlie. Have your best day on purpose.